Okay, today I want to talk to you about coming over the top and how we're going to cure that and fix it for your game. If you've played with this, then this video is for you. So come on, let's go do it. So, you happen to come over the top and get a bit too steep on the ball, just like I did there, and pulled it left, and you can also couple that with a big slice off to the right hand side. There's two factors involved in this, okay? One of the things that we hear a lot on YouTubes and Instagrams and so on is that you've got to shallow the shaft, okay? You've got to get the club, you've got to go back to the top of the swing here, and you've got to get the shaft to lay down flat on the downswing. Well, that's what they're saying you need to be doing. Issue with that is it's not going to cure what you're actually doing. You're still going to get coming out over the top. You're going to get what we call over the top from the inside. All right. There's two factors that we look at. We don't look at shallowing the shaft. We look at shallowing the arms. Okay. The arms will go back on one plane and then they come back down on another plane. All right. So they're actually going to create a bit of a loop. Okay. And that's actually at a shallow plane. I can bring the club in very shallow from this angle to the ball. Okay. It's going to come in very shallow. Sometimes I overdo that. But there's another issue with that as well, which we see a lot of golfers have a tendency to do. So they don't only get the arms to shallow and come in here, they have an issue because they haven't got the space to do that, mainly because their right side has invaded that space for the arms to shallow. Okay, and if you're still invading the space and trying to shallow the shaft, you've got no hope of hitting the ball whatsoever. So we've got to learn to keep this out the way, so I have all the space in the world to shallow my arms into the back of the ball. All right, so my right hip is a tendency, we see a lot of golfers when they do this, they have a tendency to throw the right hip at the ball, and then they also have, coupled with the right hip coming, the right shoulder tends to go, and this is what gives you the over the top action. All right, so the first thing you've got to try and fix is get this right hip and get this right body out the way, so I've got all the space and all the room in the world to hit the ball. All right, so number one drill for that is to feel as though the right hip goes back. And then what I want you to try and get a feeling of is as you come down to hit the ball, is that the right hip stays back and then it moves parallel to the shaft or the target line as you swing down to hit the ball. Okay, so as I'm moving up into my left side, the right hip stays parallel there, and it shifts almost as though I'm shifting along those shaft lines on the ground. Okay, this is going to keep me to the my back to the target a bit more, and I'm not going to be firing the right hip out. Okay, so I'm going to be moving up into the ball, but moving this way. This is going to change my angle of attack. All right. Once I do that, if I get that feeling the hip staying back and sliding on that wall or sliding on those rails, my arms can then come down and in and swing into the ball, so I don't swing over the top. All right. So it's very, very important you get that feeling. Now, a great way to practice that is to start with also right foot back, because this gets the right hip out of the way, and I'm going to then hit some shots trying to hit the ball, keeping that right hip back as I do so. Okay, so right hip stays back, back and through. Okay, this is going to stop me from firing into the ball, firing into the shot with my right side. So I'm going to train on keeping the right hip back, sliding it along the rails, let's say, so it stays parallel to my target line this way, and not firing out, getting closer to it. And then this is going to give me the feeling of then being able to pull my arms down and shallow the shaft out that way. And that's the great way of doing it. So I'm going to try it now without the right foot being back. I'm going to try and keep the right hip back and through. Okay, this gives me all the room and all the space in the world to then hit the ball. Oh, don't blow over. And to hit the ball, keeping my right hip back. Okay, definitely should try this one. Also, then you've got to get the feeling of the arms shallowing. Okay, so I want you to get a feeling of the right arm, of the arms traveling in a bit of a loop as you swing down, and over exaggerate it. Okay, now I'm not saying the shaft should shallow, because that'll actually probably stand up on its end, but I'm still going to swing on an inside path and be on a shallow line just by shallowing the arms. Okay, I feel like my left hand is coming down towards my right thigh while I keep my right hip back. So just swing back and through. Okay, and I just get that feeling of it just slightly looping. Now, to me, that felt loads, but probably on camera it hardly looked like anything. And I'm going to do it slowly as well. You don't have to go fast with this. You don't have to go with full speed. You're just going to swing back and down, okay? And that's all you're going to do, back and down. This is going to bring the club head much more on a shallow path and on a better line, and I'll end up hitting the ball far more solid than ever before. So that's what I want you to work on. If you're having a tendency to come over the top, it's because your right side is firing at the ball. You want to keep the right side back, so drop the right foot back for a few shots, hit a few shots, get the feeling of what it's like to have the hip back. Key thing here though is to feel that the right hip moves parallel to the target line, or as if it's on these rails here and it's staying parallel to those. It's not getting closer, okay? And that's a key. If you can practice that, then you can start to practice shallowing the arms. So the real trick here, stay back and hit the ball. Allow the arms to just drop down into the ball. So back and through. If you can do that and do it at a nice moderate speed to start with, then you can build up speed. And try it with different clubs in the bag as well. Try it with driver, try it with hybrids, try it with all the different clubs. Get that feeling. And if you can do that, I promise you that will get rid of that nasty over the top movement. So there you have it. That's one way of curing coming over the top, okay? And it's the one that works pretty much 99% of the time for me. It's about using and controlling the hip action and the body action first, and then we can control the hands and arms from there, okay? And getting the clubs to shallow down with the arms shallowing, not the club, okay? Remember that, it's not the club, it's the hands and arms that shallow. And because we see so many golfers get so caught up with shallowing the shaft and laying it flat that they just get themselves so wrapped up that they're having to then flip the hands over in order to try and hit the ball, because the club face gets laid down so shallow and open, they've got no choice. All right, so anyway, I hope that helps you. Thank you again for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share. There's quite a high percentage of you not subscribing to me, so I really would appreciate you hitting that button down there. And hopefully I'll see you all next week.